works well.
Mm-hmm.
We had it on video. We're recording.
Testing.
So, yeah, we're not going to...
Siblings.
Hopefully I just won't find out later that we totally missed out the sound. But...
That would take away from the experience for sure.
We'll just do it again. We'll have to just
re-rate
or
retry.
We'll have games from 2023 to add in there. So, well, welcome to Unraveled Game Thoughts. I'm your host, Wade, and I'm here with my brother, Mark. We both play games. So we happen to be in Arkansas now, and we're in his office. And some time ago, back at, I can't remember when it was we decided we were going to do this. It was before BGG Con.
Yeah, we were going to do it at BGG Con.
We were going to do it at BGG Con, and then, we got carried away playing games, and it didn't happen. And so, but what we decided we were going to do was make a top 10 list of our family games.
Mm-hmm.
That was, at least in my case, I was trying to kind of incorporate my family's opinion in that.
Yeah, I did.
And not just like, what do I think my family would like? Because at the end, we'll talk a little bit about runners-up and notable games that I thought might have made the list but didn't. But we were going to start with the top 10. So, how did you go about what was your process for getting your family opinion?
So, I went through my games and I put 10 stars by 10 games. I just kind of pulled games out and did stars. The ones that I kind of thought were the best for my family. And then I got my kids all in there and I had them vote. Wife, not so much a part of it. She likes one game. Settlers of Catan. That's it.
So that one just didn't make the list.
That one didn't make the list, no. But the kids did I had them do a 1, 2, and 3, or just do 3 marks. It's been so long I can't remember, but I believe I had them pick 3 games, and what they picked just blew me away. Some of them weren't even my stars. Some of them were, so. And
so they could add to your, you picked games,
but it wasn't out of the 10. It was out of all of them.
Oh.
And I realized, they started pulling games in that were not a part of the 10 that I was not expecting them to pick anything that wasn't part of the 10. And so I just added those in. If I did kind of a scoring thing, and I tried to honor their choice more than I honored my own, or equal. But that's it. But there was also this concept of so there are games that they pick sometimes, but that I have to drink a decent amount of whiskey in order to be willing to play that game with them.
Right.
And that was sort of a strike against that game. So
gotcha.
It was that was.
So that one would have fallen lower in the list because
yeah. Even though it got 2 votes instead of 1. It was that's, it's hard to be as good of a parent. So
That's cool. That was there's some similar feelings to how we did it. I went through and kind of did an inventory of every game that we played together at all. And it included even games that were kind of we've at least had a one-off. We've never played it again. Yeah. But I wasn't sure how people felt about it. And so I think it ended up being a list of about 20 to 25 games.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told them to rank their top 30? I told them to rank their top 13 games in order.
Oh my gosh, you gave them homework.
Go through and write 13, 12, 11, 10, all the way down to 1. Or start with your first, actually. Start with your favorite and just rank them in that order. And then I went through, because I didn't necessarily rank them myself. I was more of I just used myself as a swing. Mm-hmm. Once I kind of assigned those numerical values to all of the games. And then I told them if there was a game you would absolutely not put on the list, but somebody else ranked it,
mm-hmm.
put a little circle with a cross through it to say, this is not even on my list, I don't like this game. And then I added extra points for that so that it would fall farther down the list. So what that resulted is our top 5 games were ranked by everybody on some level.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the games that were in the actually the first 5 we'll talk about ended up being games that somebody somewhere probably said, I hate this game, I don't like it. And then if there were a couple of things that tied here and there, and I just swung it to, well, if I like it better, it goes to the top.
Well, I feel like 2 big differences between the way we did that was, one, you have a tendency to cycle through games, and I have a tendency to buy and keep so almost anything we've played is like right there for them to see. And then 2, you've got 2 kids, I have 7.
Right.
So 6 that are voting. But, all right, let's get into it.
All right. Well, I'll start with my number 10, and if there's any weirdness, I'll kind of throw that in there. But otherwise, I'll just say,
let's get weird.
Okay. So number 10 for us was Boggle, which I will honestly say kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
I love Boggle. Becky loves Boggle. We played Boggle more than anything else the first 5 years of our marriage. Tons and tons and tons of Boggle. I was honestly shocked that Taryn and Elijah even had it on their list. Wow. So that's and I think technically Taryn didn't hate it and didn't vote for it. But she didn't say, I don't like this game. So I guess it technically wasn't on her list. But Elijah voted for it at all, and I didn't even know he would vote for that. That's kind of surprised me. So it ended up slipping onto the list at number 10, and it's just not one we've played together as a family that much. But I know it is one of Becky's top games. We've actually just started getting back into it. I think part of it was because the kids weren't developed enough word-wise for a while, and then when they were, we just were playing other things, and they were doing other things, and games wasn't like high on their radar. So it's just been a while, but I could see us getting back to it. Somebody bought us Big Boggle recently. They gave it to Becky as a gift, and she'd never played Big Boggle, so that was new. Big Boggle is just it's 5x5 grid instead of a 4x4 grid, and the rule is you have to start with a 4-letter word. And so you can't do 3-letter words.
Oh,
So when we play with the kids, I don't know about Taryn for sure because she's older, but Elijah for sure, we would say you can use 3-letter words, and we have to use 4-letter words and higher, and it kind of evens the playing field.
Topic, paperback.
So what was your number 10?
My number 10 is Agricola Family Edition. It got 1 vote. I'm pretty sure it was mine. So I shoved that one on there. It was it's a game that all the kids are happy to play. All together. I have a 14-year-old boy, 15-year-old boy now, who doesn't like playing games. So everything is like he's not a part of that. But all the other kids are generally happy to play. From what I hear, there's a big difference between Agricola Family Edition and Agricola. So if you're trying to pick between one and you're trying to find one to play with your family, I would go with Family Edition. One little interesting thing about what I did with mine is that it's a 4-player game, but I have a whole bunch of kids. So I made it a 6-player game by 3D printing out more pieces and copying part of the board so that I can extend the board one more section because it's just kind of the way it works. And it works great. Like, no problems.
Like a print and play sort of thing? Like
kind of a print and play thing. Like, I just made enough space for 2 more players to be a part of it.
Okay. I like that.
And yes, it changes the gameplay, I'm sure, but like, I'm a whole lot less demanding when I'm just trying to find something that I can get through with my kids and they can all have an enjoyable time. So,
have you played Agricola?
I've not. I haven't played Agricola. I really need to. Because it's like the next step up, but when you live life with a whole bunch of kids, like your game choices just change. In that season, and I only have so much space on the shelf, so I'd rather just fill it full of stuff that will come off the shelf and get played, versus stuff that is just going to sit there for 6 months until I can get a group of adults together.
All right, we ready for number 9? Number 9. This is one I really wanted to be higher than this, but it wasn't. It was Wingspan, which Becky rated. It was her number 2 game, which I was a little shocked. I was surprised it wasn't number 1. Taryn had it at 6. Elijah was like, I hate this game. I don't want to play it again.
Really?
Which I didn't know he would do that, but he like
Yeah.
crossed. I was like, oh, I didn't know you disliked that game that much. He didn't like it. So, but it's our number 9. Easily Becky and I's number 1 game we play as a couple. It's not my favorite game, but it is in my top 10. And
It is so clean.
We love it.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
It is such a good game.
She would not have let me buy a giant nesting box if she didn't like it so much. So, yeah.
That was amazing.
I don't have a ton to say about Wingspan. I do think for a game that is not a gateway game per se, it's a little overly complex for a gateway game.
Really?
It is one that I do feel like I can teach people that are new to gaming without feeling like I'm overly burdening them. And I like if Justin and his family had come and played games, I would have considered getting your Wingspan out and just playing the base game.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty fun. Mm-hmm. And I play this a ton. BGA has it, but they only have the base game. They don't have the expansions baked into it. They might eventually add drop downs where you can add that in, but they don't have it yet. But I still enjoy it. I actually enjoy kind of boiling it down to some of its baser pieces and base components and seeing what I can do with that, and then reapplying that with other expansions and stuff. So
well, shoot, it doesn't need any expansions to be good. It's good. That's one of the better games as far as the base game is phenomenal. Absolutely.
Oh. All right, that was my number 9. What's your number 9?
My number 9 is Zombie Kids Evolution.
His evolution. I don't even know.
Yeah. I just pulled that one right out of the keister. So I have 6 kids. 2 of them are like the youngest ones, obviously, because that's the way numbers work. But I had a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old for a long time. Now they're older than that. They're 8 and 10. But it's easier to find games for the 11 and up crowd, but when you get below 10, it's hard to find games that you don't want to kill yourself when you're playing. But I'm at that level, if you're in America, you're looking at Chutes and Ladders and junk like that, and that's not worth my time. I hate doing that.
Yeah.
So, Zombie Kids Evolution, if you have young children that you want to be able to play games with, it's a legacy game that is super, super simple. I would probably let a 6 or 7-year-old play it. It's got a very simple mechanic. The mechanic builds as the evolution goes.
What is that mechanic?
There's essentially 5 rooms in a school.
Okay. 1
in the center, and then 4 around, and then outside on the 4 sides there's a gate, and zombies are constantly appearing.
Okay. Is this a real-time game?
No.
Okay.
And it's kind of, the mechanic is similar to Pandemic.
Okay.
Where you're trying to accomplish a thing, but you're trying to keep another thing from happening while you're accomplishing a thing. Okay. So you have to choose if you want to keep something from happening or accomplish something.
Okay.
And so if you close all the gates before the zombies overtake the school, then you win.
But it's a co-op. So it's co-op.
It's co-op. For sure. It's a co-op game, which
almost sounds like co-op tower defense. So large.
I've never heard that. I've never heard of it, so I don't know.
Like tower defense?
Yeah.
We play video games that are like tower defense, right? Where I'm thinking swarms of a thing are coming in and you have to fight them off and kill as many, and then the next section you get to, there's like a bigger swarm. Yeah. Maybe you get some upgrades along the
waves.
way.
Yeah, wave warfare. I wouldn't say this is a wave game, but it's, this is very similar to Pandemic. It's the Pandemic mechanism, but on this super simple level.
Gotcha.
And then eventually it's got the envelopes you open up to change the characters, and the zombies get superpowers, but the characters get superpowers eventually and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then
because your kids would like that, because then your characters get, and you open up envelopes too, which I could see kids liking that.
Absolutely.
Well.
And you also have a little thing in the instruction book where you put stickers every time you've played. If you win, you put one sticker. If you win, it's got bonuses that you're trying to achieve. Achievements. It's got achievements you can try to achieve. So I mean, it's really interactive with that age range very well.
So if you're using stickers, is it replayable?
I mean, if you wanted to take all the stickers off, yeah, you don't put stickers on the board.
Oh,
you put stickers just in the book to record what you've done.
Okay, I gotcha.
So, yeah, I couldn't recommend this enough for this age range. And there's another game that I just learned about at BGG that would have made this list.
Okay.
That's at that age range, and those are like the two games.
What was that game called?
Zombie Kids Evolution.
Zombie Kids Evolution.
So, and there's a next step called Zombie Teens Evolution. Okay. I've never played. Supposedly it's just a little bit more complicated, and it's got lower ratings online.
So my number 8 is Herd Mentality, which was Elijah's number 2, which I was like, didn't really like it that much. Becky's number 4, which is a little higher than I would have thought it would have been for her. And Taryn was like, I hate this game. Which I wouldn't have known that. I wonder if she would rate that the same now. I'd be curious.
It's so funny how that happens.
She plays it off well. Like she's not that upset about playing it. So I got to give Taryn kudos for, being a good sport and playing along anyway whenever we play this game. But have you played Herd Mentality?
No, I've never even heard of it.
So it's
no pun intended.
It's a party game, and you have there's a pink cow kind of in the middle, and you have all these little tokens that are 1 and 3 point tokens, and it'll be like a question. It'll be some question asked that everybody has to answer, and it's very generic questions, like questions you might see in any number of party games. Do you prefer this or this? What color do you think this is? What's the best day of the week? Things like that. What is the best meal of the day? Just very generic questions. And then everybody writes an answer down. And I shouldn't say, they're not yes-no questions. They're always questions that could elicit an array of answers. And then you kind of look and see what everybody's answer is. If you are in the majority of answers, so say you have a table of 5 people and 3 answer the same, then those 3 people will get a point. Mm-hmm. They all get to take a point, and whereas let's say 4 answer the same. But if you're the one person that has an answer that's like no one has that answer, then you have to take the pink cow, and you can still get points if you have the pink cow when you get correct. When you get herd mentality answers later, but you can't win the game if you have the pink cow. You need someone else to be the lone person who picks the answer that no one else picked. So it's a little interesting because it's one of those games like you could play it like where I just put the answer I feel very authentic with putting down. Mm-hmm. Or you I think the way we play the game
figure out what the most popular answer is going to be.
What are people going to put? And it's interesting playing with, because Becky's parents like this game too, and they'll play it. But it is very interesting playing it with different generations because they will play it very differently. And I cracked up. We were playing the other night, and I was cracking up because her dad would put stuff that was like clearly way out. Like he would put answers that were like in his generation, and he's like 60, 65. I forget his age. I'm probably butchering his age, so I don't think he watches these videos. Okay. But he was like, he would put answers that were in a generation, and it's like, Bob, it's herd mentality. No one is guessing Bob Carson with Taryn and Becky and I playing, and what's your favorite night show host or something like that. We don't know those. But it works well in our family. It's a good one to get out in a group, and it's bearable. Mm-hmm. And it's it only plays like 8 points. So once somebody scores 8 points, it's like, oh, we're done. Great, let's play another game.
Number 8, Clank. Yeah, got 2 votes.
That is a good one. Oh, I thought that was going to be a crossover. It's not a crossover.
I am super excited that I got Clank Acquisitions.
You're welcome.
Merry Christmas. For Christmas this year. Yeah, and we'll be playing that, and that, from what I hear from everyone that's played it, that's going to take over. But at this moment, the kids have played Clank. Um, I don't think my youngest has played it, but I think my oldest 5 have played it. And I mean, they all like it. Well, I think only one of them voted for it out of their 3, because I think one of the votes was mine. So that's kind of odd. Like, I expected Clank to be way further forward, and I'm surprised that it's down at 8. So, but everybody knows what Clank is, so I don't feel the need to describe it.
It made my runners up, but it was yeah, I was shocked it kind of didn't make the top 10. I do like Clank for people that don't know what Clank is, because every once in a while you never know. People don't know. It's a deck building game, probably similar to Dominion. It's probably the closest thing I think it's close to.
What?
But it has a dungeon delving element to it.
It's not similar to Dominion. And if you buy it thinking, I like Dominion, I want something similar to that, it's not that.
No, I wouldn't do it that way. I wouldn't do it that way. This is how I think of it. If you like Dominion and you were looking for something that you're like, I like this deck building element, and you're looking for a game that has a similar deck building element that's more approachable for a younger audience, that's where I think Clank would come in. Because the reason I say it's similar, they play very differently as far as deck builders.
That mechanic.
It has that mechanic. I feel like Clank had a similar feel to, more like in Dominion you get the cards that are the point cards, and they're not really useful in the early game.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of, and I feel like Clank has a little bit of that, where there's a lot of cards you can end up pulling as you're building your deck, that they're not useful cards in a similar fashion. There's not another deck builder I would compare to Clank the way I would, like, that Dominion just has that deck building feel the way Clank does. There are other deck builders out there, but I don't think they feel quite like that.
I think the part of Clank that is there's a deck building element to Clank. It's like a full third of the game at least is that particular mechanic. I always found it funny that the box says Clank, a deck building game, because it's like, well, yeah, but that's like a third of what you're doing. You are building the deck, but you're also moving on the board. And the chief decision that you're making in that game is when to leave and how deep to go.
Yeah.
Which has nothing to do with your deck. So
that's more of a push your luck.
Right. And so Clank is, to me, what I love about the game, and when I first saw it, I was like, holy crap, I like this game, is that it's one of the games that blends multiple mechanics very well into a good story game.
Yeah.
So, like with Dominion, it's a cool. The story doesn't matter. It's essentially an abstract game. I mean, it's a deck building game, but it's essentially abstract. Whereas in Clank, like, it's a good story game. Not story, maybe, but you're there.
You feel a little more immersed.
I'm going into a dungeon. I'm going into the deeps.
I'm making noise.
Yeah, I'm caught in an ice cave.
Yeah.
And it's so. It's just you're in the story. You're doing things.
All right, number 7, Love Letter. Didn't surprise me at all to see this on the list. My family loves Love Letter. Have you played Love Letter?
I've never even heard of it. Half of yours I've never heard of.
So it's I'm trying to think how to describe this game. Very light. It's just a box. It's a card game and very small box game. We played it several times. I think somebody is getting me the upgraded version of Love Letter, which I think is a little bit better than the original version. But you have a deck of cards. You're always pulling one card out of the deck and putting it off to the side unseen. The story behind the game is the princess. You're trying to become the princess's, the person the princess admires the most. And so you deal out everybody's cards, and there's a certain number of all these different characters. So you have like a princess, you got the king, you've got the handmaiden, you've got the scouts and the guards, and each of the 6 or 7 different characters have an ability that they do, and so every turn, the turns are super simple. You have a card in your hand. You're going to draw one card off the deck. and then you pick one of those cards that you're going to play, and you play it, and then that's going to impact in some way. So the Handmaiden means that no one else can play cards against you. There's another card like I forget which was though. Well, one card, I think it's the Baron. You can compare your card in your hand with the card in somebody else's hand, and whoever has the higher number wins, because each of these characters has a number assigned to them. The princess is the highest of the 8, but the princess's power is you can't discard the princess. If you ever discard the princess, you immediately lose. You're out of the game. So it's basically people dropping out of the round until there's just one person left, and they get this little gem that goes to them, and then you play another. You reshuffle, you play another round, and basically whoever collects the most gems out of like 8 or 9 by the end of the game wins, and you just play multiple rounds. But I actually enjoy that it's so fast that even though there's like sometimes you can get lucky and maybe like make somebody, I don't know, you can pull off some weird things with just the way the powers work, where you can sometimes win very quickly, or you can knock people out of the game super quickly if you do it just right. But it's somewhat luck based, but it's fun, and the kids love it. I mean, Elijah had a 3, Taryn had a 5, Becky didn't even rate it, but even her parents like it. It's supposed to be for 5 players, but we played it up to 7, no issues. Expands pretty well. I like it. Number 7.
My number 7 is Seven Wonders / Sushi Go. And the reason I have
You cheated.
but they're the same game.
7 Wonders.
7 Wonders and Sushi Go are the same game.
Okay.
Sushi Go is the exact same mechanic.
Okay.
So Sushi Go is the one that I can play with my younger kids.
All right.
And 7 Wonders is the one I can play with my older kids.
Okay.
But they're the same game, so to me they operate the same space.
You pass cards around, you select a card to keep.
Yeah, it's card drafting, and the cards get used together in different ways to create points.
Interesting. I would love to hear comments on the assertion that 7 Wonders and Sushi Go are the same game. That was a solid argument, though.
Yeah, I mean it's the same mechanic.
I only played Sushi Go like once here, a long time ago.
And I bet it was the highlight of your life.
I've played 7 Wonders several times. I'm not a huge fan of 7 Wonders. I think it's okay. But
The chief thing that works for 7 Wonders and kids is that it plays so fast.
okay.
So you're going to get through a game of 7 Wonders in 30 minutes, pretty much guaranteed.
Isn't Sushi Go pretty fast?
Sushi Go is even faster.
Okay.
Sushi Go is for the younger kids.
Okay.
So it's like a super duper simplified version of 7 Wonders. So, I mean, you can't play 7 Wonders with an 8-year-old, but you can play Sushi Go, and it's the same thing. You're doing the same thing. But yeah, Sushi Go you're going to get through in, 10 minutes, probably.
I still feel like you cheated, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was creative.
I slipped it in there.
Very good.
That
was your number 7?
It got 2.5 votes. So one of my
2.5
children
votes out of 7 kids? Is that
out of
how
7,
it
yeah.
works? Okay.
One of my
You have
kids
half a vote?
split one of their votes. And they were like, I'm going to give half a vote to this and half a vote to this one. I said, okay.
Nice.
So they...
So they sort of cheated in the voting process.
Absolutely. So I just
now
went with
you've
it.
cheated
We're a family
on
of cheaters.
slipping 2 kids in.
We do this.
Two games in on one
It's the culture that we
line. Got it. I
promote.
like it. All right, are we ready for number 6?
Number 6.
Number 6, I have Chakra. Have you played that?
I have seen the box. I don't know if I ever played it with you.
Before. This one's pretty good. Becky didn't vote for this one, but I don't know if she played it much. Elijah was pretty high. Terrence like, I love this game. I played it on BGA, and I just knew like after I played it the first couple times, I'm like, this is a really cool game. I want to own this game because it's just pleasant, and it's a pretty simple 4-player game. You get these gems. You're putting them on the board. Basically you're just picking where you're going to put them, and then you have to align them based on their colors. And then the first person to get 5 of them aligned, you start scoring points. And there's sort of this secret, there's one of the actions you do in your game when you're getting your action chips back. Then you can look at what the colors are worth, which is randomized at the beginning. And so as the game goes on, more and more people kind of know what all these different different ones aligned are going to equal different amounts of points, either 2, 3, or 4 points. I don't think it goes as low as a 1. But, you know, a good game is like 15 points at the end of the game. And a couple of bonuses, real easy to play, but it's fun. It's kind of tactile. It kind of like, it doesn't play like Splendor or anything, but the way Splendor is like just a nice tactile game because of the way they make those plastic chips.
That makes such a big difference. I don't know why.
It's very pleasant. I mean, if you imagine Splendor with cardboard instead of those plastic chips, it just wouldn't be the same.
No.
Totally different game.
Yeah.
And Chakra, I think, is like that, where if you took out these little gemstones they put in there that you actually use to put on your board, it would be different than if it would have been cardboard. If it would have been cardboard, I'd be like, it's okay. But with those little it just, I don't know, it feels like you're aligning your chakra. I like it. So, kind of a little bit thematic, but plays real nice. But that was our number 6.
Ours is Cascadia.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good meatball.
I don't have that anywhere on my list, but that is one that I probably would have normally thought should have been a runner-up or other notable, but that's good.
Got 3 votes. We're now into the 3 vote section, which is good. I mean, it's just a very simple. I don't even know how to explain that mechanic.
Well, it's you're picking 2 items, and you know you got to pick. Most people are familiar with Cascadia now.
Oh, okay.
But you're kind of building a tableau,
a habitat. You're
and
making a habitat.
Yeah.
And you're picking animals to go into that habitat, and you're kind of matching the animals to the habitat. You get to pick a habitat piece and an animal piece at the same time, but they might not necessarily go together, and you're not always going to put them together. And you get points in different ways for the way that you put them together.
Yeah.
It's a simple game. It's one of those where you have a whole bunch of point adding at the end, which is kind of a strike against it, I think, when it comes to doing family stuff. But it's so simple that it's not that big of a deal. Like
you can eat the points because the game itself.
Yeah,
and it
some
plays
games
pretty
take
fast.
15 minutes to figure out who won.
Right.
This is not
Which
that.
the game itself could take 15 to 20 minutes.
Right.
People
And
are playing
Cascadia is, it does take a while to figure out who won. But the game itself goes fairly fast. I'd say it takes about 15 minutes to play, maybe 20 minutes to play.
It's not long.
It's not long, and that's a big deal. Like, it's one of those games that, it's not an hour. It's not Clank, which is a wonderful game, but like you're sitting down to play a board game. Versus like Cascadia, it's like, we got 30 minutes. Let's throw a game out.
Yes.
You can play Cascadia, and those games have a tendency to get played a lot more than the ones that take an hour. Cascadia, number 6.
It's pretty too. Beth Sobel did the art for that.
Yeah, it is pretty.
She's the same one that did the art for Wingspan.
Really?
And it's
man,
absolutely gorgeous.
It ain't that pretty,
but
it's pretty. It's
I
a pretty
think
game.
one of the things as an adult player, like that game that you can play with kids that I really like about Cascadia is the point cards that you pick out. There's like 4 for each animal type, and so you can pick out a random assortment of point cards every single game. So what scores points each game is a little different. The land types are always the same, but
so the rules, the governing rules about how you score points changes.
Yeah,
and so you have options that make the game different over multiple plays, which is cool.
But it's not overly complicated.
It's not overly complicated. Yeah. It's not.
I like that. Yeah, that's a really good one. All right, what was that? Your 6?
That's 6.
Okay, number 5. So now we're getting into. Everybody voted. From here on out, everybody voted something. Even if it was a low vote, it was, thank you for that fine face for that. So number 5 was Air, Land, and Sea. All got low votes. To Elijah and Taryn had them at 13, but everybody voted on this one, and this is a really good game. It's 2-player only game.
Yeah, it's so fast.
So it's not really, you're not going to play everybody, but
this is the one that you
something
smoked
down.
me in, wasn't it, when we were there, and like I never won a round?
Oh, maybe.
I want to say you asserted your dominance right before I left last time I visited down there. You pissed all over me.
But it was only an 8-minute game, so...
Yeah, but you did it like 3 times,
bad.
so it was like 24 minutes of like absolute hell. Yeah.
I told you could have withdrawn,
but
and saved yourself some points.
It's a good game. It's one of those games where they did so much with so little.
Yes.
Which is amazing. Which I don't think it made my. Hold on a second. Let me compare it to another game. But if it's gonna show up, I'm not gonna do it. Okay, yeah, I'll compare that to Raise Arcana, which is a game that's like, how did they do so much game with so few pieces of the game? Although that one's way simpler than Raise Arcana. So
okay, I think you're on your number 5.
Am I on my number 5?
I think so. I did Airland and Sea.
You did Airland and Sea. Okay. Another tactile game. Can you guess what it is? Not Splendor.
Crokinole.
No.
Ice Cool.
Okay, no, it's Azul. I forget that you've played like 400 games or more. And I've played like 75.
We're going to stop this guessing right now. This could go all night.
Yeah. No, Azul. 3 votes. Very tactile. Best thing about the game is that it's tactile. You're building a quilt. It's so simple. You're building a quilt. There's a selection. The whole game is in the selection process of how to pick up these little tiles that are great. They've got little designs on them. You place them on your board in a specific way to get points, and then you add up the points later. It goes super fast. It's it's a very abstract game.
Oh yeah.
I don't like abstract games. Like, I'm not an abstract game person. I want story. I want to immerse myself into the game.
This might be
I will play Azul.
Pure abstract though.
Yeah. This is very pure abstract, but I will play this game. It is probably my favorite abstract game, and the kids love it. They feel, especially my artistic kids, love it.
Yeah.
But
very tactile.
It plays it plays super fast. So maybe 20 minutes to get through a game, and
it's
then
not hard.
Not super long to add up the points. So
and this is our first crossover. I'm not going to say where it's a crossover, but it is our first crossover. All right, that was your number 5. Number 4 is Codenames, which I was shocked.
Yeah.
This was Becky's number 1.
Ew.
I did not think she would have this as her number 1, but I liked her. She explained herself when I kind of questioned her on this, and she said it was just, when it comes to getting family together, this is the most fun, crunchy game to play, and you can include everybody and do teams. It incorporates just about any age level, and you can always kind of nuance the rules however you need to help people out if you need to. But it's a fun game. I like Codenames. Personally, my preference, I really like Codenames Pictures the best. I think that one's more fun. But no one in my family agrees with me. They probably would have had me get rid of it altogether. But every once in a while, once every 2 years, I can get it out. And let's play Codenames Pictures and I'll try it.
I've never heard of that.
But I like it. It's just instead of words, it's pictures on the cards.
Well, I figured.
And then you just have to basically follow the same rules with that. Becky and I tried Codenames Duet. We have it.
I have it, yeah.
It's okay. We don't find it to be nearly as entertaining as we just like Codenames.
Yeah.
If we want to play Codenames, play Codenames. There's other 2-player games we like better. But Codenames, I feel comfortable with it at number 4. I probably wouldn't have made my top family game list if I was personally doing it, but I don't disagree with it. I do like Codenames. I enjoy it. It definitely is a step ahead of talking about religion and politics with family. So I'd say it is better than that.
I feel like that was a stab in the back, but all right.
Honestly, it was funny. I wasn't even thinking of you when I said that.
Really?
I was thinking of like Becky's family. Like, this is much better to do with them than talk religion and politics.
We just got done having like a 2-hour conversation about religion.
They just blanked. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Oh.
Okay, I feel like I've just created some fodder for future jokes.
Yeah,
possibly. I'm just gonna look at you next time you're talking and be like, Codenames.
Yeah.
What's your number 4?
I'll just say about Codenames. It's a very heady game, and it's a game that to me it's work. it's work to play that game.
Okay.
And so it falls into the Boggle Scrabble thing for me, which I just don't find entertaining. It's not like a bad game. I just don't get entertainment out of it. But a lot of people seem to enjoy it. Like my oldest daughter will request it on a decent level. But just because
like
it's
work.
It's work. Yeah. What?
What do you think it makes it feel like work?
I mean, you literally just sit there and think. That's the game. Is like, I mean, for the person whose job it is to like figure out to do the code names, like you just think and you come out with it out of. And I'm not like a super creative for someone who's more left-brained.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have that right. I think it would work incredibly well, but I'm not. Gotcha. And so it's like it's
that taxes your brain in an unpleasant way.
Yeah,
not a pleasant way.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah. That's the same word. So
anyway, code names great for extroverts.
Yeah, great. Yeah, extroverts and older kids. I think it works better with older kids than middle of the road. Are we on 4?
I think.
Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Ooh. I like that.
Yeah, a little dark.
I like that that's your number 4 for your family. That's impressive.
Yeah, they're up there. I think they really like the concept of you don't know where it's going. And sometimes it does go to a stupid place. Like Betrayal has some hits and has some misses as far as where it goes. But the fact that you're starting an adventure in the beginning of the night, and then by the end of the night, you have no idea what kind of adventure you're going to end up in, that's really cool. Yeah. Like, and I love that concept too. It's really neat. It's not the best game in the world, but there's something that's really exciting about playing it.
Yeah.
So that's a neat.
And it's not hard to play.
No, it's not hard to play at all.
Once you know the basics of the rules, it's
okay. So that's with the caveat that yes, it's not hard to play the basic part until the haunt comes out. Right. And when the haunt comes out, all hell breaks loose. Well, and like the rules completely change. And there's a thing where we have to figure out who's going to be the haunt. Sometimes we have to change for our family who's going to be the haunt because that person is going to go read rules on their own and they have to understand those rules to be able to come back and play. So, so sometimes we have to skew that a little bit, but either way, it's gone both ways as far as who wins, and of course that depends on the scenario, and it's really cool. I like it. I'll do that. I didn't know what, but it's one of those games that you're gonna chat about it afterwards because it was a cool experience. So yeah, I like it.
It's good. It's good to have games that you have stories about.
Yes.
After those games. Number 3 is Jaipur. That is, which I probably would have.
That's a good one that my kids don't even think of.
Bumped it down. I'm hit or miss on this now. Like sometimes I want to play it.
Wow.
Sometimes I don't. Taryn really likes this game. She's probably one of her favorites.
I do too. But it's a 2-player game.
It's a 2-player game, but it's fun. It's an enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's not good if you're trying to get
game.
in.
That's tough to.
Well, I wasn't necessarily rating family. It's like, what games does my family like? Per se, as opposed to a family game.
We define that differently.
Yeah. But we're also a family of 4.
Right.
And you're a family of, it's what, 8, 9?
9 now.
Is it almost 10? 9 now?
It's almost. We're not working
towards. You accidentally add a family member, then you'll be 10. But like we often end up in situations where there's just 2 of us at home, and we're trying to find something to do.
Yeah.
And so.
And Jaipur is phenomenal to fill the time with 2 people.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And we have it. I took it out of whatever stupid box it came in, and put it in a tackle box, like a tiny one, and I take it camping. And when I go camping with one of the boys or something like that, we'll kick out Jaipur and rock games. Like that's a really good because it travels well.
It does.
There's very few pieces to it.
I need to remember to take this with me when we go camping because even though it's not like as high on my list, I forget that Taryn likes it so much, and I could easily if she's just seems like she wants to do something, can't figure out what to do with herself.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Let's play Jaipur.
And there's certain games that travel incredibly well.
Yeah.
Like, they're very, very easy to pack up and take somewhere if you put them in something other than the box they came in.
Yes.
So
that is a good one.
Number 3, top 3. It's already been mentioned. Wingspan. Which somehow got 3 votes.
Wingspan's your 3?
Yeah. Wingspan's my number 3.
Nice.
Second
crossover.
Yeah. There's not much. I mean, we talked about Wingspan a whole bunch.
I didn't know that was so high on your list.
Yeah. Well, you do now. That's why we're doing this video.
Who played with us the other day when we all played? I thought Eliana was.
Eliana played.
She was the only one that played?
You should learn how to say my daughter's name.
Eliana.
Yeah.
Well, I've been calling her Eliana.
I don't know.
So, Eliana. I apologize.
It's probably the Scotch. But,
start calling you Mock. So, yeah, but she was the only one that played with us.
Yeah. And Belen, this is usually Belen's favorite game.
Was she just nervous because there were so many adults playing or something?
Belen?
Yeah.
She's a teenager. I don't know.
Okay.
Who knows? But
she likes it with you guys.
Might only be 12, but whatever.
And I guess your other kids enjoy
Yeah.
it.
No, I think this is probably Belen's favorite game. Eliana likes playing games, whereas Belen doesn't like playing as many games. And so this is on her short list, whereas Eliana's list is much longer.
I see.
But the Wingspan, it's a beautiful game. Number one thing is a beautiful game.
Mm-hmm.
It's educational, which is incredible. It's
if
easy
you read
to
the
play.
quotes at the bottom.
Do what?
If you read the
quotes at the bottom. But also, you were talking about it being like, yeah, it's not really a crossover game, but you would show it to people who are not gamers.
Not a gateway game.
And gateway game, yeah. Something about Wingspan transcends those categories. I don't know what it is about that game, but yeah, no, I wouldn't call it a gateway game, but I would introduce it to people who don't game, but I would not introduce it to people who don't game as a game to try to get them to learn how to game.
Yeah.
I would just introduce it as this is going to be a good experience for you. I've never had a person not really besides maybe a mom, never had a person not really understand how to play.
Yeah.
They've all caught on, they've all understood, and when you lose, you still had a good time.
Yeah.
Which is a key component of a great game. So
I don't know why Wingspan fits that.
I
almost call
it
transcendent in some way. It fits this weird place in the board game hobby, almost like a Catan place, but in an odd way. I remember when I first saw Wingspan, my thought was, they made a game about birds? Well, that's odd.
Well, to me, I didn't hear it's about birds. I heard there's this amazing game. It just happened to be about birds. And so it was okay. I've had dumber things that games have been about that were good. So
right.
Jaipur is a good example. So it was just kind of things that I'm less interested in. It doesn't matter. Yeah. The fact that it's about birds, the fact that the game Wingspan makes me more interested in birds is ridiculous.
It's kind of neat.
That's kind of a really neat aspect of that game that there's no other time in my life I've ever thought I'm gonna let me go bird watching.
Yeah.
But I played Wingspan and I'm yeah, I could take the Wingspan game out and be that's a red-breasted pigeon spinner.
Well, I did 3. Did you do 3? Was that your?
Yeah, that was my number 3.
That's right. All right, number 2. Number 2, Isle of Cats, which I've actually come to enjoy more recently. They added it to BGA, and it's got some finicky pieces to it, but then I played it several times on BGA, and I started to I kind of see how different people play this game. And so I'm okay, I like it more. I needed to play it a few more times because I kind of Tetranominal, cats on a boat, neat. And it was really have you played Isle of Cats?
I have not, and I'm wondering what tetranomino means.
Well, I'm probably saying that wrong. But Tetranimo, basically Tetris pieces in the form of cats. So you have a boat, and you're saving these cats from this pirate that's going to come capture them. Point is, we're saving cats, and the cats are in the form of kind of Tetris-like shapes, not Tetris, but Tetris-like shapes, and you put them on your boat, and so you when you put them on your boat, you put them in the different positions. You're trying to fill these rooms up on your boat, and obviously because of the way they're shaped, depending on which cats you're able to obtain, they go down in different ways. You get more points for putting the same cat families together. So if you put more yellow cats together that all connect, you'll get more points at the end of the game. And then the thing that threw me when I first got this game were the lesson cards, because there are public lessons where it's like, oh, pick a color, every cat of that boat cat of that color on your boat you get a point for, but it's like a public lesson. So if it's like I pick blue, it's like, well, then you can get points for blue too. So why do I want to put public lessons out there? Like I would just throw them out. I would never pick those lessons because like I don't want to give points to other players. I just want points for me. So I'd always get private lessons, and then half the time the private lessons were like really hard. Like have 5 lonely cats on your boat that aren't connected to any other cats. Weird stuff like that. So it threw me for a loop. I played it online. After I watched other people play, I was like, oh, okay, I kind of see some of the other strategies that people employ, and now I can kind of enjoy how I do this on the boat. I'm terrible at this game. I lose it every single time I play, but now I enjoy it more because the lesson cards like make more sense to me, and I'm trying to get my family to play more, but it's been a long time since we played, so it's one of those games where if you don't play a game after a while, people forget that it exists on your shelf. Mm-hmm. And Becky will say, oh yeah, I like cats. That was kind of fun. We should play that again. But then sometimes it's six months longer on your shelf before we actually play it. But, yeah. But it's a good family game. I do enjoy it, and as far as a puzzly, interesting game to play, there's card drafting involved in the game. There's if you like doing kind of doing the puzzle of how do I place these Tetris pieces to fit on a board in a way that scores me the most points, that kind of puzzle is there, so that's kind of fun for folks that like that. And thematically, it's really asymmetric. It's just the theme of the cats is just kind of pasted on. So if you like cats and you think funky looking cat pictures are kind of cool, then that's where the theme might fit. Okay. It is a pretty game. It's not like Wingspan level pretty, but it's a pretty game with a lot of bright colors and like so sometimes like Chakra. Yeah, that's a pretty good example. So that's my number 2.
Okay. Well, my number 2, and it's a big number 2, if you know what I mean, is
wow.
And it's my first 4 vote. Number 2 and number 1 are 4 votes.
So 4 people voted
for this one.
Multiple stars for this one.
Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. Of course, only the older kids can play. It's so like I did play with my 4 oldest, and I took the role of all the bad guys. Just made it go quicker, and then one of my youngest oldest dropped out. So,
and I was just going to clarify for people that have no idea what Jaws of the Lion, and when you say took the role of the bad guy, you basically just managed what they did, but you're not really playing as a character.
You don't make the same decisions. I was the auto.
You're taking all the rules overhead out of the game for every other player to just.
So all my kids had to do was make decisions for their character. Yeah. And then I did all the game decisions.
So, I really like that. I think that's a really great way.
It worked really well for a complicated game, for a complex game, for them to still be able to play it. But basically, I take on the complexity and let them just play the story.
So who voted for this one and really liked it?
It's been too long. I would say Anthony for sure.
Okay.
And this is probably the only game he actually wanted to vote for, probably, but he had to have 2 other votes. But yeah, Gloomhaven's like that's the only game he really likes,
Okay.
and he's my doesn't like board games guy. And then
okay.
I bet Julian voted for it, and I'll bet Anthony, Julian, and Eliana and me voted for it because Belan was playing and she dropped out. I took over her character and the bad guys, so it's probably those three, and those three are actively playing with me right now. We're over halfway through the scenarios, and it's awesome. I mean, it's really good. And when we get done with Jaws with of the Lion, we'll probably go to Gloomhaven, regular Gloomhaven, but. I think we're going to do some stuff. I just acquired a game, a legacy game, that I'm probably going to stick in there as a break. Because Gloomhaven does take a really long, it's like 2 hours to play. So
what you're saying is you have games to play for the next year and a half to 2 years.
We're good. So, when you play Jaws of the Lion, though, that's a commitment. So, we have a tendency to, a lot of times, we'll play halfway through a scenario and stop and then come back and play through the other half. We'll go outside and play football or something, and then come back and play the other half later on in the day. So if you wait more days, you get too far away from it and you forget what's going on, and it gets really complicated to get back to it. But if you take a break in the middle of the same day, you can do it, and it's all right because scenarios take about 2 hours. So
and I'm a little jealous because I really wanted my family to get into Jaws of the Lion. I have Jaws of the Lion. We played like 3-4 scenarios, and everybody dropped out. And it just wasn't their.
That'd be heartbreaking.
It wasn't their bent of game.
Yeah.
Which is okay. I understand it, but I'm also like your kids are a little older.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony's a year, and Eliana's definitely older than Taryn. I don't know that Taryn would ever get into Gloomhaven. It doesn't really strike me as her style. She likes colorful, pretty games and something that has kind of an artistic feel to it.
Yeah.
But I can see Elijah in a year or two maybe wanting. Sometimes I see him mention things or talk about things that I can see him getting into that in a couple of years. Like it just seems like his thing. But I was a little sad. I was hoping Becky would like it more. I was hoping, but it just wasn't their thing. But that's okay. Becky likes a lot of things I like. She hates Brass Birmingham. She didn't hate Gloomhaven, but there are some games that she just doesn't like. She doesn't like to see the board state changed a lot between her turns. So, yeah, I really like that choice, and I will, even though it's not on our top 10 family list, I will affirm that it's a fantastic choice and lovely, especially if you have kids that are kind of, they like dungeon crawl, D&D kind of things, then I can't think of a better game that walks you into some complexity better than another game. So it's pretty cool stuff. All right, number 1. Let's do it. My number 1 and the first crossover we have was Azul. Elijah's number 1, Taryn's number 3, Becky's number 4.
Wow.
I mean, it's not probably rated quite that high for me, but I do like it. It's a good game. It's solid.
You'll play it.
I will definitely play it. I don't see myself ever getting rid of it. It's a great abstract game, and it does have a tactile, lovely feel to it. So, there've been a couple of people that I've gotten into modern board games with Azul.
Yeah,
because it's not hard to teach. It's fun to play, and I think of one person off the top of my head that they learned it and then they were teaching their family how to play it a week later. So yeah.
My number 1 is Megaland.
Oh, that's a neat one.
With 4 votes. Yeah, they got the same amount of votes as Gloomhaven. Megaland spans the spectrum of the age ranges.
I'm shocked that beat Gloomhaven, but you have younger audiences that probably voted.
Right. I mean, you're not talking about the games that I'm saying. I'm not saying Megaland's a better game than Gloomhaven, but it's like Megaland number 1. You can whip it out and play it in 30 minutes.
Yes,
easily. It's push your luck game.
which is an evening element when it comes to playing your 17-year-old against your 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Like the push your luck thing can.
That is good. That makes a huge difference.
Yeah. So it includes luck, but you're pushing that luck. So it's the luck that you can control, which is cool.
Yeah.
Or you feel like you're in control of it anyway. It is kind of a deck building game on a very simple level. It's got a lot of the, like, you feel like you're in control of the whole game, but it's so stinking simple that a child can play it, but it's scalable enough as far as, like, so a 17-year-old feels completely engaged by the game,
Yeah.
but a 9-year-old is also completely engaged by the game. And that is hard. I was not expecting Megaland to be that.
Yeah.
I found it at, like, a discount store for like less than $10 and picked it up and had never played it and was just like and then it just ended up being a freaking amazing game. It's not like Megaland excites me when I pull it out. It's that I could always pull it out.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't dread playing it.
Right, and there is no weight where I'm like, okay, so I have to take on this explanation role, or I don't have to take on a role that is burdensome to me in order to pull that game out at any point with any of my kids. So
and
it can come out easily.
Like I can, there are certain buildings that you always play with, and then there are some I just usually let my kid, Taryn could care less, she'll just play. But
yeah,
Elijah is like, well, I want to play with this building. I want to play with that. Oh, you pick the buildings out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got to play with the starting buildings, and you pick the other buildings out. And even if it's like slightly outside the rules or something, I'm like, sure, we'll play with that one. No big deal. It's not going to break the game.
Right.
And then that kind of ends up being a surprise for me, because I'm like, I don't know what he's going to pick. But
and that's one of the chief things that build your deck thing, and that's why I would say Megaland is closer to what was the deck building game you mentioned?
Oh, Clank.
No. The actual deck building game.
Oh, Dominion.
Dominion, yeah. Like Megaland's actually a lot more similar to Dominion in that the choices that are there are like there's lots of choices in the box, and you pull out different choices to play with.
Yeah.
And so every game's a little bit different. There's different like connections, like this building works with this building a little bit. Like there's things like that, but each game's going to be a little bit different and stuff like that. And that adds a complexity that the little kids don't see and they don't need to see. They can still play the game. And then the older kids see and they can make those connections, and that's cool. And so
I'm going to offer a vote to the viewers that, you have offered that Clank is like Dominion.
Mm-hmm.
And I have offered that, I offered that
you offered that Clank's like Dominion.
You're offering that
Megaland
is like Dominion. So it's up to you as a viewer to vote. Do you side with Mark that Megaland and Dominion are similar, or do you side with Unraveled Game Thoughts that?
You've got the whole weight of a YouTube channel. You could just be waiting.
I didn't say I was going to play fair. You said you cheated earlier. I was cheating now. Why not?
All right.
So, yeah. Cast your votes. And that was your number one. And I was going to say let's talk runners-up.
Okay.
Probably talk... I'll just go through all of mine, my runners-up and my notables.
Yeah, do it.
Tell me what yours are. And...
Wait, you have two columns. One's runners-up and one's notables?
Well, I got just two small sections. So I don't know.
That's the entire other half of your card. That's full.
I can spend all day nerding.
I'm 100% sure you could. We've already...
So, legitimate runners-up, and Megaland made it. Megaland was on our list. And because I was going to comment on that one, like, we used to have Machikoro, I think
Machikoro.
we used to have Machikoro, and we had, I can't remember the American name. There was a game called Diamante, but there's like another name for it that's more of the common American version, but it's like a push your luck. You're delving into like a ruins, and you go in there and you try to get as many gems as you can and get out. But I really didn't like that one because it was like so just lucky. Like, oh, I drew the snake card again. Now we all die. Like, or I die or whatever. But and I didn't like Machikoro. It took me not long to realize, oh, this game's not really well balanced at all, in my opinion. Maybe if you added expansions and stuff, but the base game that we had, it was like, it's not well balanced. But then I was at a game night, and a guy pulled out Megaland, and we played that, and I was like, oh, this is like the best elements of those, both games, and it gets rid of all the terrible stuff from both games.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably bought it within the next 2 months, and I was like, we're gonna play this now because we liked Machikoro. Like, I know Elijah liked Machikoro, and I kind of think Taryn did, and Becky liked elements of it, and they all liked elements of both games. But this was like the best of everything, and I really kind of got tired and hated both games.
Yeah.
So this one was one I could play, and it was good. But yeah, that was a really good. That was a close runner-up. I don't know why I didn't make. I think it was just one I had to choose with number 10, and Boggle just won for me with a bunch of tie scores. Clank was a runner-up. That was a really good one. It was very close. Ticket to Ride was a runner-up. That was very close. Elijah didn't even have that on his list, but it ranked pretty high for Becky and Taryn. Other games that I thought probably are just outside. This one probably might make it today was Regicide.
Mm-hmm.
Probably if I was doing this list again, it would make it. It was new at the time, maybe, or maybe I put it on here as a notable because, it's been around for a while, but it was new to us. So I don't know that when I first did the ratings that we actually had that game, and so they might not have rated it then. Magic the Gathering is honestly like Elijah and I played that a lot.
Okay.
So as a family game,
It's not a board game.
It's not a it's not a board game, but I wouldn't call Crokinole a board game either. If you would put that in the same category.
I wouldn't put Crokinole in here.
Yeah, I usually
put
leave it all
Crokinole in there.
list. I didn't, but I tend to leave Crokinole off because I feel like I don't necessarily classify dexterity games.
That's
as
a
board games.
I think that's a dexterity game.
It's just that's
your list of runner-ups. Okay, I only did 3 runner-ups because I said we should do 3 runner-ups. And you broke right through that. And these are weird. One of them's not, but Clue, the original Clue game. I guess that's your bottle if you're gonna put an old game in there. But Clue, like we enjoy playing Clue. It works. The kids are really bad at hiding their cards, so an adult usually wins. But like it's cool, and I made a game that was based after Clue, so it's coming. Keep an eye out. Self-plug. The Wits and Wagers is one that throws down very easily. It's definitely more of like a social game, like a family game. I hope they keep it updated because mine's from like 2007 or something like that, or it's old.
Yeah.
And so all the numbers are really old.
They needed an updated set of cards for that game.
Because it's definitely a pop culture kind of game where all the questions come from pop culture. But it really cool betting game where the skill level, number one, 7 people can play. Mm-hmm. Huge deal in my family, and we just create new people, so we'll play with like 9 people. And then but everybody can step to the table and play. It's a game where the knowing the answer is pretty much not possible. You're not going to know the answer, and so you just bet on whose answer is right, and that's cool. And then B, even if you do know the answer, you get some points for that, but you don't get a crazy amount of points. It's the bets that give you points. So it's a betting game, and that evens the stakes like crazy between the youngest to the oldest, and that's really cool. I rarely win, and I always enjoy playing.
Yeah.
So it's
Targi. I like Targi.
I don't know what that is.
Kids never play with us, so I just need one that Becky and I can play.
Gotcha.
Well, there you go. That is our top 10 family games.
The definitive list of like
definitive list.
Yeah.
There you go. Can't buy any other games outside of
Yeah.
this list.
I don't want to hear anything about Dice Tower.
Maybe
This
the
list.
adjuncts, the runners up. Well, thanks for joining us, putting up with our humor, and a late evening. And until next time, have a great day from Unraveled Game Thoughts. And when you say the cats are in like Tetris, like
Is the pirate a cat?
The pirate is not a cat.
What is
No.
the pirate?
He's got a name, starts with a V, Vespa or
Pirate is
something.
a job. It's not a kind of thing.
There is a pirate who is coming
Who is what?
to this island of cats, and he's going to capture these cats.
I care about what the pirate is.
I didn't say what the story was. His name is Vespa. He is a pirate.
But a pirate is not a thing to be. It is a thing you do.
This is the weirdest thing to get hung up on.
Is it a human pirate? Is it a dog? Is the dog the bad guy?
So you're worried about if this pirate is like some form of animal or whether it is a human pirate? Let's just say it's a human pirate who hates cats and is coming to an island. to
Okay,
capture
so it's a
cats.
Cruella de Vil situation. All right,
Sure.
I'm with it.
I'm just going to make up part of the story.
I just needed to understand that.
Now I have to go read the instruction book to find out what the pirate was.
Does
Is there
it
a
have a
backstory to
picture
this
of the pirate?
Wow. Okay.
Why wouldn't they have a picture of the pirate?
I don't think they do. I don't think they do. I'll have to go look for that, but I'm pretty sure there's not a picture of the pirate. I think most people
Unacceptable.
reading it, like myself, were just like, oh, we just accepted outright that it was a pirate who hated cats. And
It's
was
an
coming to capture
island of cats.
Well, the pirate doesn't live in the island. He's coming to the island, and for
that
whatever
begs the
reason, we
question.
know he's coming, and we have to save the cats. Wow, this is a rabbit hole. So.